let's start off with the combat sports today, lads,
I,
because we watched on the weekend one of the boxing goats, who's widely considered one of the most fearsome punchers in the history of the boxing of the heavyweight division, is Iron Mike Tyson, and he came into the ring against a glorified YouTuber. And you know what? I'm going to give Jake Paul some credit. He's had a couple of fights recently against, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva. So these are people with some combat experience, but obviously they're not boxers and they're not people at the same age or weight as him. So this time he decided to step it up against a 67-year-old
I would say
in
68.
was he 68 in the form of Iron Mike
Damn,
Tyson.
that's old. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Um,
Who is it that says he was speaking to someone here? He was talking about
Kevin
your
Hart.
age.
Kevin
Kevin
Yeah,
Hart.
Hart.
Kevin Hart. Yeah, Kevin Hart was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's oh,
So yeah, bro, that's what happened. So we had a 67-year-old against a 27-year-old, and obviously the 27-year-old came out on top. Mike Tyson managed to last the 8 rounds. I watched it myself live, and I was not too impressed about the whole occasion. So let's just throw it out there. Afo, what do you think of the event? What do you think of the fight? Should Mike Tyson have been in there?
Okay, so for me, I think I've said for a while, I think it's good for boxing that we've got the YouTubers involved because the viewership is going up, it's bringing more eyeballs to the sport. For me, I didn't stay up to watch it, but I watched the highlights after. For me, I like the nostalgia aspect of it. Again, I wasn't watching when Mike Tyson was fighting, so for me, having the opportunity to see him in the ring, him having the whole persona, the whole aura, coming into the ring with the towel. I think he cuts up like a hole in a towel. So that whole energy and aura that he came with was, for me, very, very exciting. I feel as if he showed a bit of aggression at the beginning, but you can see that his legs were not his best, or they weren't what they used to be. So that was holding him back a little bit. There's a lot of chat at the moment if it was a fixed fight or if neither side were going to knock out the other person. Um, but I feel as if with the way it was set up, Mike Tyson just had to show that he still had the skill, like he still was switched on. He worked hard for the fight. And Jake Paul probably recognized as well, it probably was not in his favor if he tried to knock out Mike Tyson, because I think it would have been a bad look for the YouTube boxing. It would have been a bad, PR wise, it would have been bad for him as well. So I feel like they both just kind of exhibition fight, feel it out, enjoy it. And those moments, again, we saw moments from both of them. And for me, I was okay with it because I just did not want Mike Tyson to get injured. I didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't want him to get embarrassed. So for me, he left without getting injured. He left with 10, 20 M's in the bank account. And I feel as if it brought more attention to boxing. Like I think they broke the record as well in terms of viewership. So for me, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I might be in the minority, but I enjoyed it. How about you, Jez? What are you saying?
Well, I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. While I can remember catching the back end of Mike Tyson's career, so I remember him fighting Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis was my guy, and that I just managed to catch that. That was like the last bit of Mike Tyson's career. Him in his prime, I never got to see that. But recently, I've been watching some Mike Tyson, videos and documentaries, and there was a Hulu show about him as well, which usually I would tell people to go watch that, but because he was not actually, he didn't receive any money from that show, so I was like, don't go watch it, but I did. I just thought it was very, very sad to see someone who is one of the goats of their sport trip down the aisle as he was making his ring walk. You could see he was on unsteady feet. And then go into the ring with someone who doesn't even deserve to be lacing his boots. Seeing that was disappointing for me. I thought it was upsetting for a lot of people who actually would have seen Mike Tyson in his pomp. But I understand that nowadays, this whole YouTube boxing scene or boxing scene or combat sports in general is just about spectacle. And these guys want to find a way of being able to create a spectacle for fans. Let them see something they've never seen before. And obviously, they did it in the Dallas Cowboy Stadium, it's one of the biggest and most high tech stadiums in the world, and they sold it out. And record numbers on Netflix and everything. But actually, once you got out of the second round, Mike Tyson had nothing in him, and I think Jake Paul didn't want to embarrass. Yes, I think you're right. Jake Paul did not want to knock out Mike Tyson, and for me, that's only a cop out to the viewers from that perspective because we went into this fight thinking, okay, this is going to be and they sold it as this as well. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be a sanctioned fight. This is on Mike Tyson's record. This is on Jake Paul's record, and the fact that somebody went in half-assed shows me that we were all sold wolf tickets, fake tickets to an event that was never actually going to be the event that we wanted. Did I want Mike Tyson to get hurt? Absolutely not. I'm glad he didn't. But do I feel like I got my money's worth? Well, I guess you didn't pay unless you paid for your Netflix subscription just for that event. But I guess it's a free event. I just expect more from such a big and live event. I don't want to be seeing these sort of exhibitions. But give us your perspective, not necessarily on the Tyson fight, but on this whole YouTube boxing scene and what Jake Paul's doing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the fight. Something about old legends coming back to the foray, in the current day of the sport and playing that fine line between either embarrassing themselves or their name being in the headlights again. I think with Mike Tyson, I never really, like you said, Jeremy, I never really watched his prime. So for me, it was more of a case of like, I know Mike Tyson through like the legend, the tales, when you watch the videos, the documentaries on YouTube, hype videos. That's my knowledge of Mike Tyson. Personally, I've never really watched a live Mike Tyson fight. I think my earliest memory of Mike Tyson was I think it was the Lennox Lewis fights. I think that's about it. I think Jake Paul, as an entertainer, he's doing his thing. Yeah. I think he's built his portfolio of fights, whether that be, fake. A lot of people are saying that they're fake fights, they're fixed fights. Obviously, he has to pick his opponents wisely. He's not going to go and pick a boxer in his prime. He's not going to go and pick a Lomachenko or a Triple G or Canelo Alvarez. He wouldn't last one round with any of these guys, let's be honest. So he has to pick his fights wisely. I think him and his brother have like wrestling experience or wrestling backgrounds.
They were college wrestlers.
Something like that. Yeah, college wrestlers. So he has got fight experience. I don't think he's just come out of nowhere as a celebrity and, built up, this experience or started training like, how actors do when they train for fights and they then decide, okay, I'm going to get into the fight scene. So big respect to him. I can't lie. He's doing his thing, he's doing his thing. I think he's a bit like Marmite in the sense that whether you either hate him or you love him, I can't knock the hustle. Any man that can, garner attention and build a portfolio for themselves and actually benefit from that and still get in the ring, anyone who gets in the ring as well, that being the main thing, if you can get in the ring with anyone when they've got millions of eyes on you, then, big respect. Big respect. And I think Mike Tyson, from what it sounds like, hasn't embarrassed himself either. So he left with a bag. And I think that's what a lot of these fights are mainly about, getting a quick bag. What did you say he left with? Was it 12 mil?
Yeah, bro.
Nah, man. You ain't going to turn that down. I'm sure Mike Tyson's good with his money. I know he does a podcast, he probably still does appearances, probably has subscriptions, things like that people apply to. But 20 mil, you can't turn that down, man. And he walked away 20 mil and relatively still healthy.
Yeah.
So
no, I think
in a way he lost, but in a way he won.
Yeah, I think at the end of that fight, if you spoke to if you look at the interviews that Mike Tyson took after the fight, he wasn't upset about the loss. He wasn't upset at all. He was like, "Look, I'm 67 years old. I managed to go 8 rounds with a young, up and coming in quotation marks boxer." He's not upset about it. He showed that he was still a big draw because look, Jake Paul is not getting that level of attention against anybody who's not named Mike Tyson unless he's fighting someone like Canelo. So look, I'm with you guys in terms of respect to Jake Paul for the hustle, respect to him for putting himself on the line in front of that many people, in front of Mike Tyson. I'm sure there would have been like a little bit of fear fear there in terms of, what if this 67-year-old catches me with a warm bad boy shot, But he didn't look as if he was ever going to after the second round.
Yeah.
He looked old, he looked tired. So I'm just praying and hoping is that, Mike, you have an extra 20 million in the bank. You already have your podcast, you have your weed business. But I've been to Amsterdam and I've seen Iron Mike Tyson weed. So he's doing well on that front. So look, let's just leave it there, Mike. Let's just leave it.
Yeah, it's a tough one though, because after the fight, he gave the impression that he's not going to stop there. So I think for me, the concerning thing is, would he try and fight another person his age, or is he looking to get another major, like again, another young person influencer? Like, would he fight against his Jake Paul's older brother, so Logan Paul? So for me, that's my concern, is if he's looking for another bag. Hopefully, he just kind of enjoys it. He goes into the background, stays around boxing and YouTube boxing. Because for me, I like the fact that they had the undercard, and I forget the name of the two ladies that fought, but that was a really, really good fight on the undercard. And I think it highlights and brings more attention to women's boxing and boxing as a whole. So yes, maybe the boxing lovers don't like the YouTube side of things and the creator side of boxing, but it's bringing eyeballs to the sport. And yeah, that ultimately means more money, and more money means everybody gets the biggest slice of the pie.
Yeah, and bro, I think that's one of the good things about this, is that they brought some eyeballs to women's boxing. So Katie Taylor and versus Serrano, that was a great fight. I actually thought Serrano won that, but forget about the actual result. The fact that they managed to get those many eyes onto women's boxing alongside that spectacle, I think that's quite impressive.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass. And yeah, I know I'm not a keeper, but can you be my mama seater by the time I'm done with